Arlington police announced 4 arrests for last night's shooting that wounded 2 people at the Parks Mall in Arlington. Hello, I'm Steve Eager. That shooting happened following apparently a fight over a girl. The gunfight led to a lockdown and evacuation of that mall. Police released mugshots for 3 of the suspects. The 4th suspect is in the hospital. Today, as the mall reopened, we learned one of the shooting victims was an innocent bystander. Fox 4's Dion England live in Arlington tonight with the latest developments. Dion.
Hey there, Steve. That's right. A fight is what led to this mall shooting, and police say one of the 2 people struck was a woman who was shopping and had nothing to do with any of it. Less than 24 hours after gunfire inside the Parks Mall, shopping resumes. Perspectives from the parking lot to a view inside appear like a typical day. A stark contrast from Thursday night when more than 35 police units responded to the mall shooting scene.
So I work actually at the Chick-fil-A in the Parks Mall. So at in my work group chat, people were talking about it.
Investigators quickly determined it was not a random active shooter situation, but rather an isolated fight between 2 groups of teens who did not know each other. However, one individual tried to talk to another's girlfriend.
Whole entire incident was over something as simple as just speaking with this female subject. And one of the individuals did not like that the group was speaking to his girlfriend. Investigators say the violence started on an escalator. A 17-year-old pointed a gun at an 18-year-old, hit him with it, but then lost control of it. During that process, the 17-year-old dropped the firearm, and the 18-year-old male who was originally hit with the firearm picked up that firearm and shot and fired a round at the 17-year-old male. 17-year-old male was shot in the arm, and a female who was nearby and not involved in the incident was shot in the foot. Police say 2 teens were arrested for fighting in public. The injured 17-year-old who was shot in the arm is charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Police say the 18-year-old who shot him ran away and wasn't located until Friday morning. He was located in Mansfield at his parents' house, and he was arrested this morning with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon charge. Meantime, police presence at the Parks Mall is increased, as are the safety precautions of shoppers.
I don't go to the mall too much just because of the things that have been recently happening, but yeah, of course, when I go, always aware, always off my phone, looking around, yeah.
Now, we understand neither of the injuries in this incident are life-threatening. Now, police also told us this afternoon they have not located the gun that was used in this shooting. They are urging anyone who may have additional information, or if you've recorded video of the incident while it was happening, to get in touch with them. Right.
A man arrested for killing an Army vet in Uptown Dallas last week may have shot 2 more people while he was on the run. Corey Thompson is now in jail, charged with murder for the Dallas killing of Roderick Butler. Today, police in Balch Springs say he's their suspect for a Christmas Day murder. And Rowlett police looking into whether he was the gunman in a shooting in their city. Fox 4's David Santandri is in Dallas with the update. David.
Yeah, several shootings this convicted violent criminal is allegedly connected to, and at least one of these shootings appears to be random. Corey Antoine Thompson is charged with murder. The 45-year-old allegedly used a rifle to kill a man off McKinney Avenue in Uptown Dallas on December 20th. Now, Thompson is connected to 2 additional shootings, one of them a murder. Both took place during the 6 days Thompson was on the run.
Balch Springs Police Department is going to name Corey Thompson as a suspect.
Balch Springs PD says a white Lincoln SUV registered to Thompson rolled up on a vehicle Christmas morning and opened fire. The man in the driver's seat, identified as Francisco Jesus Manriquez, was shot several times in the head. His female passenger was not injured.
During the time of the shooting, she ducked down.
Here's what she told police.
All of a sudden, this Lincoln pulls up, and he starts firing into the vehicle without saying any words, without making any interaction or any communication. It was just a random shooting. We know for a fact that it wasn't pertaining from a road rage incident or from a robbery. It was just a random shooting.
5 days prior, on December 20th, Dallas police say Thompson shot and killed Army veteran Roderick Butler. At the time, police believed the shooting was isolated.
There's not a danger to the public. This is isolated, and that he was targeted for some reason.
As the investigation has gone on, Thompson's white Lincoln SUV has been linked to the Christmas murder in Balch Springs. And Balch Springs PD says it's been in contact with Rowlett Police about a shooting involving a white Lincoln SUV there.
Luckily, the person was not hurt.
Additional charges in the Balch Springs case could be coming soon.
We're still waiting for ballistic evidence.
Thompson has a history of aggravated assault convictions. He was out on bond when he allegedly committed these recent shootings. Those charges relate to felony criminal mischief, misdemeanor assault causing bodily injury, family violence, and misdemeanor terroristic threat of family household. Magistrate Janet Lusk signed bond paperwork in May. Bond was set at $10,000. And right now, Thompson is being held without bond. I reached out to Rowlett Police Department regarding its investigation, and it does confirm that it is working with Balch Springs PD on an incident, a collaborative investigation, but it says at this point in time it does not have enough evidence to specifically tie the suspect to this incident, but it hopes to share some more information with an update tomorrow. For now, Steve, back to you.
Okay, David Centenary in Dallas. Now, David, thanks. A restaurant employee in Arlington was murdered right in front of her place of work. Police say a man followed her from a bank, robbed her, and then ran over her with his vehicle. Fox 4's Amelia Jones spoke with those who knew the victim and joins us from Arlington tonight. Amelia.
Steve, there's a growing memorial outside this Vietnamese restaurant on New York Avenue. Arlington police say they learned it was part of the woman's normal routine to go to the bank before she came to work. Today, they say someone followed her. Friday, around 10 a.m., police say someone called 911 to report they saw a woman struggling with a man outside Pho Son Nam Vietnamese restaurant in Arlington. When police got there, they found a 56-year-old woman on the ground. She was dead. Police believe the woman was robbed and that she fell while trying to fight off her attacker, and he hit her with his car when he drove off.
She just loved everyone. This was just horrible.
As news spread, a small memorial started outside the restaurant. People like Janetta Flores brought flowers.
She was my friend. She's been my friend for years. That's what friends do.
Flores says her friend was an employee there.
I've been knowing her for years, and we get out of church and come here every Sunday.
Detectives learned the woman came to work after stopping at a local bank. They believe the attacker may have followed her from the bank.
It is my understanding that he made away with at least some of the victim's possessions.
Flores wants her friend to be remembered as a giver.
She's such a good person. She's a godly person, and she would just give. And if you didn't have it, like when her machine wasn't working and people didn't have cash, she said, you can come back.
And she will be missed.
She has a big, beautiful family, wonderful kids, grandkids. It's just sad, and it's really mean. It's horrible.
The woman's name hasn't been released yet. Police are asking anyone with information to give them a call. Right now, they don't have a good description of the attacker or his car. If you have a home or business nearby and you have a security camera, police are asking that you take a look at that footage around 10 o'clock this morning.
3 teenagers were shot and killed at a Garland convenience store 2 years ago today. The suspect, who was 14 at the time, is now believed to be hiding in Mexico. Fox 4's David Centenary talked to the mother of one of the victims about her frustration. David.
Yeah, Abel Acosta is still on the run. He's likely in Mexico, according to investigators. You know, these holidays, they will never be the same for the families of the victims.
Everything that we do, he's the one missing there.
It's now 2 years since Xavier Gonzalez went to a convenience store in Garland to buy tacos for his family.
We all miss him. We all miss his smile.
The 14-year-old never made it home.
Christmas for us is not the same. Why? Because we have an empty spot.
Gonzalez's mother learned on the evening of December 26, 2021, he was shot and killed. Garland's police department says it was by 14-year-old Abel Acosta.
It's not fair how they took his life away.
Police say Acosta also shot and killed 17-year-old Rafael Garcia and 16-year-old Ivan Noyela, two teens involved in a prior conflict with Acosta. Gonzalez had nothing to do with that. He was an innocent bystander.
And it's been hard for us that he's not here.
Well, where is Acosta, now 16 years old? Investigators believe he's likely hiding in Mexico with help from family members.
Like, what kind of family are that?
Abel Acosta's father, however, Richard Acosta, was convicted of capital murder in February. He drove his son to commit the murders and helped him get away. Richard Acosta's life in prison sentence is only a slight relief for Gonzalez's family.
Because the person who took the life away from my son is still out there in the run.
Gonzalez's family lives down the street from where he was killed.
So when I drive by there, I don't even look up. I just try to look somewhere else or try to not even go through there at all.
This is the last photo Gonzalez's family took together.
Christmas for me and holidays are not the same no more.
Now they want to remind people to look at this photo of Abel Acosta and to call police if they know where he's hiding.
So he can pay for what he did.
Remember, prior to Richard Acosta's conviction, he did not deny that Abel Acosta shot and killed those three boys. Instead, he just said that he did not know his son was going to commit those shootings when he dropped him off at the gas station. Evidence suggested otherwise, and again, he was convicted of capital murder. Anyone with information on Abel's whereabouts is asked to contact Garland Police Department. For now, Peyton, I will send it back to you.
David, thank you.
Fort Worth police are looking for the driver who struck two women outside DFW Airport, killing one of them. Susan Simmons had just returned on a flight at DFW Airport. Her sister had picked her up. They got into a minor crash, and while waiting for a tow truck, they were hit along the side of the road. Simmons was killed. She was being remembered as the backbone of her family. Fox 4's Amelia Jones live in Fort Worth with the story. Amelia.
Steve, a side mirror left at the scene helped police figure out what kind of car the hit-and-run driver was in that night. The family hopes that their loss is a reminder to everyone to drive safely, but also be safe while you're waiting for help, too. On December 21st, DFW International Airport was busy with people traveling for the holidays. Around 7 p.m. that night, 57-year-old Susan Simmons landed at the airport where her sister, 48-year-old Crystal Edwards, was there to pick her up.
My mother told me that the roads were slick and she felt her back tire hit a bump. And when that happened, they had lost control into the ditch.
Edward's daughter, Shiloh Dykes, told Fox 4 the car got stuck in the mud near the curve to go east on Highway 183. Simmons called a tow truck. The two were waiting on the side of the road when a car hit them and drove off.
My mother says the last thing that she remembered was her and Susan were arguing about who was going to stand in front of the other.
When Fort Worth police got there, Simmons was in cardiac arrest and passed away. Edwards was taken to the hospital with serious injuries, including broken legs, ankles, and injuries to her back and shoulder.
I think everyone goes through this, but questioning why she's alive.
Fort Worth police say the hit-and-run driver's side mirror was found at the scene. This evidence helped police figure out the driver was in a Toyota Tundra pickup. There's no information on the color or model year, but police say it's missing a side mirror on the driver's side.
If you know of anyone or any suspicious Toyota Tundra pickups that are missing that left mirror, please give us a call, because again, we need to know who the driver was and where is that truck in order to continue with the investigation of this fatality hit and run.
Dykes says her aunt was part of the backbone of the family.
It's been hard. Susan took care of everyone.
She hopes Simmons' story is a chance to educate people.
If not about the safety of driving on the road, but the safety of how dangerous it is just standing on the side of the road.
And she wants the driver who did this to come forward.
And I hope it does. And ultimately, at the end of the day, I hope that this interview, I hope that somebody sees it and knows that this entire family is hurting.
Since the two sisters had just exited the DFW Airport, we asked Fort Worth police if they're using any surveillance video from the exit as part of the investigation. We're still waiting to hear back from police on that. If anyone has any information about this crash that happened on December 21st, you're asked to contact Fort Worth police. Steve, back to you.